Whether you've stumbled upon this video randomly or you've come back here after watching some of our other questionable content, might I welcome you to Jugelbuk's Who's That Pokemon? Dex Entry Edition, where I, player 2, will host a game having Star of Wisdom, Griffin, and Asa guess a Pokemon based only off its Dex entry. Once everyone's locked in their answers, I will give points to the people who got it right, and I'll give even more to the person who got it right first. Then we will have each of the 3 competitors rate the Pokemon based off its description. With the rules out of the way, let's get into the first round. The very first Pokemon in this Guess That Pokemon Dex Entry Edition. This Pokemon embodies the speed of lightning. The roars of this Pokemon send shockwaves shuddering through the air and shake the ground as if lightning bolts had come crashing down.
This sounds like a legendary Pokemon to me.
Yeah.
Lots of grandiose words here.
Yeah, I want to say Raikou, but...
Ooh, yeah, that's pretty good. I was thinking Joltik, but I think that's
better. Easily.
Joltik is speed.
It could also be like...
all across your ceiling? That's fast.
Right.
I was also thinking Zapdos, but yeah.
Zapdos.
I don't think it doesn't have a roar. Right, exactly.
Usually Pokedex entries will say something like, it's cry. They refer to Pokemon cries. So saying roar specifically makes me want to say Raikou. That's my guess. I'm guessing Raikou.
All right, Jupiter is locked in Raikou.
I'll go Joltik.
It's not
just in
Joltik.
case.
You can guess the same Pokemon.
We can't, actually.
What, you can't?
After one person locks it, yeah, it's a race.
It's a embodying this Dex entry. It's a challenge of speed here.
Sure. I mean, I was gonna give more points to whoever guessed it first.
Yeah,
and then
that makes sense.
I'm going Manectric. I think Pokedex.
Manectric's good.
So,
all right, Jupiter is right with Raikou.
Okay.
He got it. He got it right away. Yeah, the roar thing probably gave it away.
I am done with this.
I quit.
Unfair.
This sucks. Just
we're not imagining it as Raikou. We're imagining it solely based off of what the Dex entry describes.
Yes.
So it's a fast thing. It's a beast that roars and creates lightning. Again, even without knowing that it refers to a legendary Pokemon, this has a legendary feel to it. Like, this is a unique creature that you encounter. And I also think that this sounds like, based on the description, not necessarily a friendly creature. Like, you find this thing and you're gonna, maybe it's not immediately aggressive to you, but if you provoke it, it's gonna fight you. And
like any other wild animal.
Yeah, but maybe a little bit more intense than that because it controls lightning.
Well,
this is an important turning point. Are we going to rate scary things higher or lower?
That's a good question. It's gonna. I feel like it's gonna depend completely on the Dex entry. Like, this sounds fairly unique. I want to rate things based on uniqueness of encountering. Like, how cool would it be to find this thing and do something with it in a fantasy setting? Whether it's fighting it, whether it's capturing it, whatever. I would say that this sounds like an A tier thing to come across.
It's a little one dimensional. I mean, it's just got the lightning going for it. Kind of like, okay,
like it's interesting. It's interesting, and it sounds not like your run of the mill fantasy creature that's got like some specific stuff. It's fast. It's got lightning. It's got a roar, so it's beast like. But I don't think it's quite as special as being an S tier.
I like it. A.
Yeah.
A tier for Raikou.
A for Rai. Ray.
A in Raikou.
We'll move on to number 2. Because it is very proud, it hates accepting food from people. Its thick down guards from cold.
Swanna for sure.
Oh, it might
that
be.
in?
Oh, you might be right about Swanna, actually.
I think it could be far-fetched because it's always got food anyway. Just when it's hungry, just nibbles on the leek and then flips it around for a fresh side when it gets nibbly later on.
I'm going to guess Sirfetch'd because I think it's a little bit more prideful than Farfetch'd.
Sure.
I'm
okay.
gonna guess Rufflet.
You're all locked in then, huh?
Mhm.
Yeah, I think so.
What's the winner here?
So I'm actually, you're all wrong.
Okay.
Damn.
I'm actually not going to reveal who it is until you've given a description or like a
yeah.
rating because
And then
Okay,
we'll
yeah.
see how it lines up. That's
Yeah.
good.
So it's just a fowl that has no value because it doesn't want to interact with anybody.
Yeah, that's pretty freaking lame. I mean,
It
like,
honestly is. It's like, yeah, it probably lives in a cold climate, so that's already points against it.
Well,
yeah.
This might be our D tier. This is pretty good for a D tier. Like, it's not outwardly offensive. Like, if you come across it, you're not going to be repulsed by it.
That's a
It's
good
the kind of
point.
thing where, like, you're walking down a forest path, except it's cold, and whoever's narrating whatever's happening mentions, oh, and you see this bird over there, and it gives you a haughty look and flies off, and then you just completely ignore it, and you're like, great. That's a great detail to add.
Yeah, all right. It's got a cold
Yeah.
personality.
I feel so immersed.
It's not Swanna. Who am I thinking of? All right.
I'm giving it D.
D sounds good to me.
Yeah.
D for ducklet.
who's that Pokemon? It's Piplup.
Oh, really?
Piplup.
Yes. I thought Piplup
Oh.
was like a little cute guy, but apparently it's a
Piplup-
very proud
Piplup
little
is
penguin.
cute. But
Actually,
yeah,
that does make a lot of sense because, like, Empoleon, right?
Yes,
Like, they're very,
right.
like, yeah.
yeah.
When I think of
Interesting.
down, I don't think of penguin down because I feel like that's probably a crime.
What?
Probably
owning
a
it?
crime to acquire penguin down.
Yeah.
Both of these dex entries are garbage, but I'll take the one that's slightly better. It loves the honey of flowers and steals honey collected by comb bee.
We should next time we should do a spelling bee. We have to spell the Pokemon name too.
I like that.
We can do editions of that. Like today is spelling bee edition, and it's all the bee Pokemon.
There's
Nice.
two.
Yeah.
I don't like dex entries that include other Pokemon's names because it's always just something that's completely you would not think of. So I'm going Apom.
I'm gonna go the big teddy bear.
Ursaring?
No, the Snuggle. What's its name? It's yellow. No, it's pink and black.
Oh, beware.
Oh, beware.
Beware. That's my
That's
guess.
also a good guess. I'm
It's
pretty sure I
probably-
remember this. It's Teddy Ursa, right?
No, it's actually not. I know
Really?
what entry you're thinking of for Teddy Ursa, though. It's Motham.
Oh.
I shouldn't have
Why?
revealed that. We should have rated it first. But it's
fine.
Motham.
Okay. That's really interesting.
This is gonna be F for me because it sounds like just a real world animal.
Well, here's the thing. I actually think this is a C tier.
Yeah.
Because again, it at least has an interesting fact in that it steals specifically from another species.
That is
like,
pretty cool. Yeah.
That part in itself is interesting enough to bring it up from D tier. But besides that one little detail, I just think it's very average.
Counter argument, that's not that interesting. In the real world, bees are the only, well, I don't know, I shouldn't be so confident, but bees, I think, are probably the only creatures that make honey. And there are definitely, such as bears, creatures that steal honey from bees specifically because nobody else makes it. And I don't think there's any other. Well, maybe there are now.
But I think to be F tier, you have to like actually be a bad, uninspired design. Like you have to be worse than existing in the real world. Like a standard design, a standard real world thing, I think is what C tier is. I mean, we just put Piplup in D tier because
I put it in D tier then.
The thing that puts Piplup down to D tier from C tier is the specific fact that even if you wanted to interact with it, it's not going to happen. Because it's proud.
I'm okay with this being C.
Yeah, I would say C.
Moving on to number 4. This one should be pretty easy because both descriptions kind of give it away. But I'll take the more obscure one.
Okay.
It flies forever through the ozone layer, consuming meteoroids for sustenance. The many meteoroids in its body provide the energy it needs to mega evolve.
Yeah, okay.
Quasar is my
Deoxys.
I'm locking it in.
It's Rayquaza.
What?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Gotta be
Deoxys
Rayquaza, right?
comes to the planet in a meteoroid. and
Dude,
Rayquaza.
you haven't
Meteoroid.
seen-
I don't think I've ever heard that word before. Meteor or am I dumb? Hang on.
Meteorite.
Meteorite.
Dumb.
Meteoroid is interesting.
Spell meteoroid. What?
All right. So Asa, what did you say before I confirm?
Deoxys.
Deoxys. Well, okay. So Griffin.
Deoxys doesn't mega evolve.
Yeah, he does.
No, he doesn't.
It's canon. Deoxys
fine.
does have a mega evolution. It's just hidden in the game. Only Ace has been able to find it. It was Rayquaza or Rayquaza, depending on how you prefer to pronounce it. Griffin was the first to lock it in, even though I think Jupiter knew the moment I said ozone layer.
Yeah.
But okay. How would you rate this legendary of legendaries?
So
Pretty
what's
awesome.
interesting? It sounds cool, but what's interesting from the Dex entry is it says it flies around the ozone layer eating meteorites or meteoroids.
Yeah.
See,
Meteoroids are its sustenance.
based on that entry, this makes me think of like a little swarm of things going around doing this. Like or maybe a big swarm of things, but it makes me sound it sounds to me like it could be multiple creatures that just they live in the ozone layer and they eat meteoroids. And so they're interesting, but they don't have quite the same majesty as like knowing that it's Rayquaza. I don't know. It's still intriguing, but I just don't know how often in a fantasy setting you would actually encounter it.
Yeah, that's actually kind of lame. No, think about it. It's like you're eating like
Right.
rocks. Like, all
They're
right.
just they're like scavengers, which like again they're cool and they're uncommon because they're in a place that you don't often go to.
Right.
So they're definitely B tier minimum. I would still probably put it in A tier, but like whereas if you knew it was this giant dragon thing flying around,
Sure.
obviously S tier.
Yeah,
but-
okay.
Based on the entry, you can't assume that, and
Mhm.
that bumps it down to A tier for me. A tier highest, B tier minimum. is where
I'm gonna say B tier. I didn't picture a swarm of things. I pictured just like a big maw, just kind of floating through space, just kind
That
of
sounds cool.
picking
Mhm.
picking up rocks. It's not that cool though. Trust me, if you were
I
seeing
mean-
what I'm seeing in my head, you would not.
Well, I guess yeah, that's true. Because I mean, if it was just a big maw flying around, if you did encounter it, it's not like it's gonna stop and fight you. It just wants rocks, you know.
And it's not like what are you going to gain from knowing that that's there? It's like, okay,
Mhm.
that's a
It-
thing. That,
I think
Yeah,
that
think
solidifies my answer on B
B.
tier then.
So for the final one, we're gonna go with a Pokemon that's my height. That should give it away. 3 feet 6
Urshifu.
inches.
3 foot 6 inches. Cubfu then.
In ancient times, it was unbeatable thanks to its powerful lower body, but it went extinct anyway after it depleted all its plant-based food sources.
humans.
So
With their powerful lower bodies.
this is one of the fossil Pokemon,
No.
and
Oh.
I'm thinking, based on the lower body part, that makes me want to say it's one of the Galar. But all the Galar fossil Pokedex entries are like, this Pokemon killed itself because its arms weren't long enough or something, you know? It's basically how all the Galar Pokedex entries go.
Is throw.
It's throw.
Throw.
Yeah.
Not throw.
I think
You locking that in?
Yep.
I'm locking in Lileep.
I
Leap?
think you
All
might
right.
be right, but it doesn't strike me as having a powerful lower body. Probably Cranidos.
Cranidos. All right, you're all locked in?
Yeah.
You're all wrong, and I will
Yeah.
remember not to give it away, but based
Yeah.
off of its description,
So it's extinct.
Hmm.
So you'll never encounter it.
So it's since F.
Well, no, here's the thing. If you were to encounter it,
Okay.
that would be because of some sort of circumstances occur to either revive it or bring you back to its time or bring it forward in time. So it is very unique when you encounter it. This is like, presumably if you encounter this in a fantasy setting, this is the first time that you would have ever seen this creature. So based purely on that, it has to be somewhat interesting.
It also would have to eat I mean, how does it eat all of its plant-based food? Like,
Yeah.
Like, it would have to be big. It would have to consume a lot in order to do that. That's an impressive task.
That's the
Or-
good thing.
I mean, or there were just a lot of it.
No, it was just one.
It's just one. I almost think this could be a creature that you would potentially befriend.
Yeah,
Um,
definitely.
I think
It's
this
intriguing.
is a B for me because it's a high B because it's cool, but I
Uh-huh.
kind of wouldn't go out of my way to go find it.
I would agree that this is a B tier because it's more interesting than the average creature, but it's still sort of an average creature. It's only interesting because it went extinct and is no longer common from our perspective.
That's a good point. So if you were seeing it, I mean,
Yeah. Like if you're seeing it, you're like, okay, that's cool. But presumably, I'm imagining you go back in time somehow. So there's going to be a bunch of other potentially more interesting things competing for your attention. So you're going to see this one and you're going to be like, that's neat. But then you're going to see, the T-Rex and be like, that's also neat and potentially commands more of my attention right now. So
yeah, okay. I like B.
I agree, B tier. Yep.
All right. Who's that Pokemon? It's Dracozolt.
It is Dracozolt.
Yeah.
I was on the right track with the Galar fossil part.
Yes,
but
you were. You absolutely
I didn't
were.
think of Dracozolt as eating plant life.
That's because the Dex entry is based entirely on its bottom half.
Weird.
Oh yeah,
because the whole thing with the Galar fossil Pokemons is that they got mixed up, right?
Right. Yeah.
So the Dex entries just have to do with half of its. But
most of the Dex entries for the Galar fossil Pokemon, like they will mention something about both halves, which is what threw me off.
That must be the top half. Then it is eating the plants, maybe.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. I should have known. I should have gone with my gut and just picked a Galar Pokemon. But anyway, yeah, that makes sense.
All right. Well, that concludes this episode of Who's That Pokemon Dex Entry Edition. And I don't know who the winner is of this video. I think it'll just be an ongoing score. We'll just keep it going.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. That's definite. That is, Dracozolt. B tier.